Well, the Dodgers made the Kirby Yates signing official, which means we got the corresponding move. No surprises other than how it happened. Ryan Brazier was DFA'd. We'll dig into what that means for him, what that means for the Dodgers, and what that means for everybody else trying to pitch in the Dodgers bullpen this year. Let's get live on Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks to everydayers for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. And thanks to those of you who are with us live here on Thursday evening. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. And you can subscribe wherever you're watching and listen right now, and then you will never miss an episode. If this is your first time with us, my name is Jeff Snider. My normal co-host is Vince Samperio, but that guy next to me, that's not Vince Samperio. That's my somewhat frequent guest co-host, Clint Pasillas of the internet. Vince and Clint and I are all lifelong Dodger fans, just like most of you. We've also all spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room, so we bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. And as we get started, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can tell, in addition to Clint not being Vince, I am not in my normal recording studio. I am in the ancestral homeland of Lake Elsinore, California, in my parents' guest room, because I am down to go to Dodgers Fan Fest on Saturday, and then Chris Taylor's Polar Plunge charity event on Sunday. Spending time with the Dodgers this weekend, which means spending time with my family, and spending Thursday evening with my buddy Clint. Clint, thank you for hanging out with me tonight.
If we planned this better, I could have had you come down to beautiful La Puente, California, and we could have recorded. I mean, it wouldn't work very well. I don't know how to get a second body in here, but as always,
a body like mine.
Yeah, it would be. We have. I don't know. It's a weird squeeze, and it's a whole thing. But
yeah,
always good talking
ball
with you, man.
In person. Podcasts sound fun until you try to do them, and you realize it is a lot easier to just be in separate rooms with your own microphones where you don't got feedback from each other and everything. As much as I like seeing you in person, this probably works better for podcast reasons. But I will see you on Saturday at Dodger Fan Fest. So
that's correct. I won't be at the Polar Plunge though. I'm afraid somebody might push me in, and I'm like, that's a no for me, dog.
Yeah, I'm not worried about getting pushed. I don't think there's even any of the professional athletes who are there who are capable of pushing me anywhere. But yeah, I will not be in the water. I will be near the water. One person who will not be at FanFest and probably not at the Polar Plunge is Ryan Brasier, because Ryan Brasier is no longer a Dodger. That's because Kirby Yates is a Dodger, which, it's been close to 2 weeks now since we first got word from Bob Nightingale that the Dodgers were signing Kirby Yates, and it took a while. We finally got it past an official a couple days ago, but now it's official from the Dodgers, and the corresponding move was DFAing Ryan Brasier. And we talked about this possibility a couple days ago. Vince and I did. Brasier probably made the most sense for the corresponding move. The question was how. And I still think probably a trade is coming. DFA doesn't mean that they're losing him for nothing, because now they have a week to trade him or put him through waivers. And so my guess is that they are far enough down the road in trade talks with some team that it made sense to just DFA him. We're going to get the trade done. And I often see people start to freak out. Well, if you DFA him now, somebody else could claim him on waivers, or why would somebody give something up for him if he's just going to be available? But the fact is, if a team wants Ryan Brazier, they can't guarantee that he's going to be available, because somebody else could claim him on waivers. The Dodgers could trade him to somebody else if this team backs out of the trade. So I don't think it messes with their leveraging. So I would guess that in the next day or two, we will find out about a Ryan Brazier trade. What do you think?
Yeah, now you throw it out into the ethos, I think it makes a lot of sense. Some team out there, some mid-level team is going to see this dude who's a 2-time World Series champion. He's been great since joining the Dodgers, at least statistically, maybe some of the I don't know if all the peripherals back that up. I don't look at that kind of stuff very often, but this is the time where people are trying to do those last minute fixes before getting their clubs to spring training. And somebody somewhere, hopefully not, I doubt in division, but hopefully somebody somewhere is trying to give Brazier an opportunity and make it where the Dodgers aren't actually just losing money. And what is it, $4.5 million left on that deal? Still a bargain for a dude who started a few games in the postseason for LA.
Yeah, didn't necessarily do super great, and at least the one start against the Mets that I can remember, he broke their scoreless inning streak by giving up that home run to Francisco Lindor
right away. Leadoff batter in what was it, game 2?
Yeah, it reminded me of 1989, Oral Hershiser's first start, because technically Oral Hershiser still had a scoreless streak going, and then he gave up a run in the first inning of his first start in 1989, just because he's like, we don't want to have to worry about 64 innings over 2 seasons. Like, just nope, we're not splitting this streak over 2 seasons, and that's what it reminded me of. The what was I had a thought before I got derailed. This is what happens when when we start talking
home.
Dodgers. Yeah.
Well, also you're home. There's some way more distractions. Or you're back, as you said, the ancestral lands there.
Yeah.
Family trying to bug you.
The guitars on the walls are throwing me off.
Yeah.
Ryan Brazier, you talked when we were talking the other day about, somebody had brought up the possibility of Anthony Bonda being the guy to lose his spot. And we had talked about why that might make sense, because I compared Anthony Bonda, if the Dodgers were to trade him, kind of to when they traded Dylan Floro, kind of sold high on Dylan Floro and got good value for him. And so if they were going to trade Bonda, I thought it would kind of be that sell high on Bonda. Brazier isn't quite that same level of selling high, but he has been pretty darn good the last couple of years. Really, really good after he came over in 2023. Not as good, but still solid for the Dodgers last year. And so I do think there is potential for them to get some decent value, especially if they're willing to eat some of the $4.5 million. Yeah. I hope the Michael Busch trade hasn't spoiled us and think we're going to get 2 guys who turn into top prospects every time you trade somebody.
Trust, I was thinking it. I wasn't going to say it, but I was thinking it.
And the fact is, we call it the Michael Busch trade. Yency Almonte was also in that. And maybe Yency Almonte is a better comparison for Brazier. Really good first year with the Dodgers. Not as good, but still solid second year. And then the Dodgers traded him.
Yeah.
So Yency Almonte was included in that Michael Busch trade. And the problem is everybody else can see what happened with Yency Almonte after that. And so, I think all 30 teams know that relievers are very, very temperamental and unreliable, and so you're never going to get a ton for a 37-year-old reliever. But I imagine they'll get something for him. I think they'll make a trade. Yeah,
but these teams are getting a veteran. They're getting somebody who's a workhorse, as long as he doesn't have that calf injury kind of pop up on him. He's one of the dogs from the dog pound or whatever the hell they called it. He just makes sense for just about any team. And it also makes sense for the Dodgers to eat whatever it is, $2-3 million of that deal to try to facilitate something that gets them some sort of mid-level prospect. You're probably not going to get anything, exceptional. You're definitely not going to revisit anything close to the Michael Busch trade. So, people, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. But if you get something back and you open that roster spot you needed, listen, getting Kirby Yates, you're raising the floor for this team in that bullpen, and that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to run it back. You're giving yourself every possible opportunity, and Kirby Yates is a better pitcher than Ryan Brazier. But for some other team, Brazier's going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a question in here from our buddy Kevin. I'll read the question and then we'll go to break, and then we will answer the question after the break. That's called a teaser. Kevin says, question, does the Brazier's DFA mean our floor/ceiling was raised? Do you think we will miss him in the pen? We're going to dig into that when we come back. So thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning, and please keep it Locked On Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. And there are a ton of things you can bet on the Super Bowl. One of the interesting ones that I saw today, you can bet on, will any quarterback score a receiving touchdown? That has plus 7,000 odds right now. So if you think that the Eagles have some trick play up their sleeve and Jalen Hurts is going to catch a touchdown pass, boom, put some money on that, plus 7,000, easy way to make a little bit of money. I mean, not easy, so it has to happen, but those long odds are sometimes the funnest to go with because nobody is expecting that. It kind of reminds me of the one from a couple of years ago, last time the Chiefs and Eagles played, where you could bet on Travis and Jason Kelce both scoring a touchdown in the game. That one didn't happen. Maybe Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes will catch a touchdown pass for you, though. But whatever it is you want to do, all you got to do is make a $5 bet, and if you win, you will get $200 in bonus bets. So download the app or head to FanDuel.com today to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. Hey, we are back. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Thanks for being with us live here on Thursday evening. If you are, thanks again to my buddy Clint for being here with me. Remember to check out Clint on all his mini shows. He's on Dodgers Territory with Alana Rizzo. He's on All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas, with himself, Clint Pasillas. It's right there in the name. His hat is backwards on All Dodgers. We're thinking he may have to start wearing it sideways on Dodgers Territory with Alana, because when we're unlocked on Dodgers, it's hat forward because this is a classy joint, Clint.
Very classy. I appreciate the opportunity to go hats forward with you, bud.
Me too. I appreciate that. I guess really quick, remember you can become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. For your second listen, check out Locked On MLB, hosted by our buddy Paul Francis Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully. And be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles over on YouTube, 2 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network. Before we jump into Kevin's question that we went to break with, let's touch on a couple other things in the chat. Richie really wants me to come see his DeVore man cave.
It's a nice spot. Jeff, it's a very nice spot. He's got a lot. If you get the full tour, though, like saddle up, you're going to be there at least an hour and a half.
Okay. Well, I know I'll see Richie at Dodger Fan Fest on Saturday, if nothing else. He also asked why I have the ceiling fan on. It's 40s outside. I am not outside. I am inside. Specifically, I am upstairs in my parents' house, and my parents, having been born before air conditioning, still don't believe in air conditioning, and so it is hot in this room. So, and I have this protective layer of blubber that sometimes is a negative thing. So that's why I have the fan on.
Yeah.
But now we will get back to talking about the Dodgers, Ryan Brasier. And I guess this question that Kevin asked is more about Kirby Yates. Basically, we're replacing Ryan Brasier with Kirby Yates. And for me, it's kind of, you've got your bullpen here. Kirby Yates slots in, not at the top. He's not the top reliever of the bullpen, but definitely up among those top guys. And he bumps Ryan Brasier down off the bottom of the list. And so, the Dodgers are absolutely a better team. And you could quibble. If this was a small market team, you could argue, okay, is it worth the extra, $8.5 million? Does it make them that much better? That's one of the nice things about being a Dodger fan is we don't have to quibble about $8.5 million. The Dodgers make moves. Does this make us better? Okay, then let's do it. We don't have to do, does it make us $8.5 million better because the bean counter said that we have to account for every dollar? No, just get better, and this move is really, really kind of illustrative of what the Dodgers have done all offseason. So we won the World Series. Now let's go get a whole lot better. And I
would say I love at one point, because I was Alana and I, to spoil the mystery, at one point we were trying to line up to get Andrew Friedman on the show. Schedules have not aligned as of yet, but one of the questions I really want to ask him that he has since answered, I forget where, but I wanted to ask him, like, did getting that parade, did this particular World Series like drive you to want to go even harder in the paint in free agency and go even harder at trying to become that first team to run it back in 24, 25 years? I mean, you're looking at what they've done this offseason. I think the proof is in the pudding. Yeah, it made them hungry. It made them want more. They're fiending. They're looking for that next hit. And, well, or at least somebody could help mitigate some hits. And Kirby Yates was pretty dang good at doing that for the Rangers last year. So they're answering multiple questions. They want to run it back or not answering questions, but they're following through on two things. They want to run it back, and they don't want to have to work hard at the trade deadline. And this is another one of those moves that Kirby Yates helps, because now, along with Brazier, some of those other guys that we should probably talk about as well, like Ben Casparius, Edgardo Henriquez. I threw Michael Grove under the bus a whole bunch in my show just a few hours ago with Greg Bergman. All of those guys now are not, or their depth. They're less important to getting the job done over 162 and mainly in the postseason. That's what makes this move so great. And that's why you pay that extra $8 million over Brazier, is to make your life that much easier and to make it easier, or that much easier to try to run it back, which is still hard and still a crapshoot and all that. But you got to love what this team is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess let's talk about
don't care. 187 said Friedman got addicted to parades. That's pretty good. That is pretty good.
There's
addicted to. Yeah,
no quality I want more in my team's GM than being addicted to parades. Go make it happen. So let's kind of spend the next couple minutes, Clint, guessing, predicting, projecting, whatever word you want to use, verbing who will be in the Dodgers opening day bullpen. Assuming, so we know that the Dodgers won't get the bonus of not having to count Shohei Ohtani as a pitcher until he has been pitching for about a month. He's not pitching to start the season, as we know. So if we're assuming, I don't know, maybe this is where we start. Is it safe to assume they start the season with a 6-man rotation, or because they've got 5 days off in April, do they start with a 5-man rotation, knowing that they have kind of a built-in 6-man rotation because of the days off? So I guess maybe that we need to find either 7 or 8 relievers that are going to be on the Dodgers opening day roster. So I think we've got some locks right now, and I'm just going in alphabetical order. I'm going to hold up fingers because I can't count. So Anthony Bonda, let's see. Wow, you go a long way before the next one. Yeah. Michael Kopech.
Yep.
Evan Phillips, Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan, Alex Vesia, Kirby Yates. That's 7. So if the Dodgers go a 6-man rotation to start the season, and if Michael Kopech and Brandon Gomes are telling us the truth that Bob Nightingale was full of it when he said that Michael Kopech's hurt, I mean, the bullpen it's kind of locked down, which almost makes you wonder if they won't go with a 6-man rotation right off the bat.
Yeah, off the bat, I don't see them going 6-man rotation. And this is what's kind of frustrating or annoying about the whole Tokyo series is people like us can't do this, what I like to call rosterbation. We can't do this and really be like, oh, our opening day lineup or opening day roster, because are you talking about Tokyo? You're talking about domestic? Are we also going to look at bullpen, like try to project out to July or August or something like that? Where does Kershaw fit into the whole pitching staff picture and all this kind of stuff? So it does make it difficult for, I would say, for this exercise, something we're both bad at. We should probably just go with domestic opening day and disregard those 2 Tokyo days.
Yeah, because the fact is they only need to take 2 starters with them to Tokyo as far as being on the active roster, which means that they could have 3 extra relievers, 3 or 4, if you're kind of 5-man rotation, 3 extra relievers at that point. And so I think we will see some of the younger guys. So yeah, this is more the domestic opening day, what Major League Baseball keeps calling open day. I'm like, they keep saying this many days to open day. I'm like, not for us. We're 8 or 9 days earlier. But yeah, so we're talking the first game against, who is it? The Tigers on March
28th, I think.
8th, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it's the Tigers that we open up against. So
which is weird, and I don't like it, but
hey, everybody.
At least Zach McKinstry and Trey Sweeney get to come home.
Yep. Yeah. McKinstry at least did play at Dodger Stadium.
So. Yeah, that is fair. I imagine there's going to be something closer to like a 4 or 5 man rotation to open the season. Just be that domestic opening day. Like you said, there's going to be a good amount of off days baked in early in the season. You could see somebody like Blake Snell or more likely Yoshinobu Yamamoto get to start the first 2 games of the season for the Dodgers, something like that. But of the locks I have rotation wise, because I think we start there and probably break it downward from there. Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow. I do have Sasaki in the rotation. I know it's crazy of me. And Tony Gonsolin probably would be rounding out that top 5 until Shohei gets in the mix. Whatever happens with Kershaw, however long it takes him. Dustin May, I guess, is a long man for a while as he has to prove his worth and his ability to still get big league hitters out.
Yeah, the one argument in favor of May over Gonsolin is that Gonsolin has 1 option year left. And so Gonsolin could start the season in the minors if necessary, whereas Dustin May couldn't, because Dustin May has passed that 5 years of service time. Tony Gonsolin is not. So that, I don't know if they're going to do that. There's so many questions.
There really is. The good thing is it's all really good questions to be dealing with to open the season, and then it's just going to get more and more difficult, but also better as the season goes along. Knock on desk, everybody stays healthy and people keep getting healthy. You're going to add people like, again, Kershaw, and some people aren't going to like me saying Kershaw this many times. Emmett Sheehan coming back, being healthy. Gratterall being in the mix and being healthy probably by August, maybe September or something like that. You're in a really, really good spot to have to face those very, very tough conversations somewhere mid-season.
Yeah, for sure. And we kind of have to talk about the starting rotation because some of these starters might end up in the bullpen. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So thank you again for making us your first listen, and please keep it locked on Dodgers. Hey, that was quick. We're back already. Thanks again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen. Thanks for being with us every day. If you are, if you're not, it's easy to become an everyday, or you just watch or listen every weekday morning. Make that easier on yourself by subscribing wherever you're watching or listening right now. Also, be sure to subscribe to Dodgers Territory with Clint and Alana, All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas, Backwards Hat Clint. This is Forward Hat Clint, the classy version. I always enjoy talking baseball with Clint. So thank you again for being here, Clint. And when we talk about all these guys, so if we're assuming a 5-man rotation to start the season, we've nailed down the 7 locks for the bullpen, which means there is 1 spot. I am going to read you 6,000 names right now. And I want you to tell me who gets that last spot, because we've got Ben Kasperius, Jack Dreyer, Nick Frasso, Michael Grove, Edgardo Enriquez, Landon Knack, Bobby Miller,
the forgotten man, Bobby Miller,
Justin Robleski, and then let's just throw in non-roster invitee Giovanni Gallegos.
Yeah.
So what was that? 9 or 10 guys who like I said, some of those guys are technically starters, but if they don't end up with a rotation, maybe they are in play. I didn't even mention Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin, who are both possibilities for that last bullpen spot. One of them, if they're not in the rotation. Who do you think gets that 8th bullpen spot?
For opening day? God, that's such a hard question. I'm gonna rule guys out because I have my own list. Well, let's talk Giovanni Gallegos for a second, because this is a guy who has a good amount of major league service time. Has performed at a high level, has some saves under his belt. When they signed him, we were kind of like, hey, this is one of those Dodgers signings. Maybe he could be something special or something that plays an important role for the team for a little while. Now we flash forward like 2 months later, we're like, yeah, no, this guy has 0 shot. If anything, look at spring training, my dude, and view it as a free drive line for yourself. You get to learn. Dodgers are going to help fix you and go release you to the wild. So he's out. I think Ben Kasparius is out of the mix just because that I don't see them wanting to use an option on him early. It's funny, people who watched me on All Dodgers earlier, I was trashing. I don't know if I was even trashing, but I brought up Michael Grove a whole lot because he's one of those guys. He's kind of like the next in line, the next Brazier in line, where if they need a spot, sorry, my dude. But does he have an option year
He does.
left?
He has one option year left, and that's the thing that's saving him right now. But it's also the thing that might make him more attractive to other teams in a trade.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Grove could be the fourth or fifth starter on a team that doesn't plan on winning the World Series right now.
God, that sounds awful. With all due respect to Michael, that sounds awful.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to watch that. No, but yeah, I mean, obviously he's not going to be a stalwart of this Dodgers rotation, and he is a starter. Like he's got starter stuff. He has the repertoire. He's got 3 different pitches.
Yeah.
You know, the only reason he's been a reliever with the Dodgers is because he wasn't good enough, not because he wasn't a starter material, you know? And so, like, other than having an option year left, so he does make sense for the Dodgers because you have this guy who you can put on the Oklahoma City to LA back and forth express. Other than that, I mean, he makes a lot more sense to be on another team than on the Dodgers.
Yeah. If they're going to go a trade route, now is definitely the time to do it. You got some other pieces to package in a deal as well. Cough, Chris Taylor after his polar plunge. Of the names though, I feel it would benefit the team in some way to find out more about Grove early, as opposed to stashing him away and you know, kind of seeing how it plays out later in the season where maybe they need him for an injury replacement or whatever. It's not going to be Michael Grove, but for some reason I really want to see it just so we can kind of get it out of the way. I think that's what it is. I want to see him be bad early so we know, okay, you're not in the mix. That said, more than likely, no, because I was going to say more than likely Bobby Miller, but they're going to need to keep him built up as a starter. God, this is a tough question. I'm glad I'm not Andrew Friedman.
Yeah, it is really, really hard. And that's why, like, the thing that makes sense to have it be Michael Grove is I think it would make sense to have a long reliever.
Yeah.
And, you know, like you said, Bobby Miller could be that long reliever, but one of my biggest question marks going into spring training is what is Bobby Miller going to look like? Because I'm still convinced that there was something physical causing his problems last year. No. I am 37% confident that Bobby Miller is going to come into spring training and just shove. And people are going to be like, oh yeah, 2023 Bobby Miller is back, you know, which totally blows up everything at that point. Like, you know, because then it's like, okay, well then Tony Gonsolin or Dustin May has to get traded, you know, if Bobby Miller is suddenly good again, you know.
Well, what happens if Tony's good? What happens if we see 2022 Tony Gonsolin?
Yeah, there and all those things. But back to the bullpen thing, when you've got guys who Roki Sasaki, they're not going to have him throwing 7 or even 6 innings per start. He might not even get 5 innings per start early on, you know, and you could say that about several guys. And so I think they might want to have a long reliever and Michael Grove. Basically at that point, you're either Michael Grove, Justin Robleski, or Ben Kasparius. Like, who are our
the other name? Maybe a Landon Knack. Yeah, because he's kind of done that sort of swing role, and we all know that's going to be his role for this team this year, picking up some spot starts, picking up some bulk innings, collecting a lot of frequent flyer miles. That's going to be his role. Why not start that early as well?
Yeah, it did, but then you can make the case that Kasparius, Robleski, and Knack are all still have value as future starters, whether for the Dodgers or somebody else. Whereas Michael Grove, it's like he's what was that movie, The Expendables? Like, that's Michael Grove. It's like, hey, you are a sacrificial lamb. You're the guy who we don't have many expectations of. So you're going to be our long reliever, which means sometimes you're going to pitch 3 times in 5 days. And sometimes you're going to go a week without pitching. And that's okay because we're no longer stressed about your development. I think the other 3 guys, they are still, we want to see these guys continue, and throw Bobby Miller in there too. We want to see them continue to develop. Whereas Michael Grove is what he's going to be.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And we know people aren't a big fan of Michael Grove throwing multiple innings. If you could make a very strong case, easily that that's a bad role for him. Let him go out there and let it shove for 1 inning. But again, that's where it's like kind of get it out of the way. Know if you have some sort of quality asset in that bullpen or in the organization, or be ready sooner to cut bait, because this is a different era of Dodger baseball where they can't give guys as long of a leash or long of an opportunity to kind of figure it out as they've done in years past. So yeah, I mean, if it's Michael Grove, people are going to be upset, man.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. It's like you said, glad we're not Andrew Friedman, because there are a lot of hard decisions that, I mean, just who's going to be on the active roster is going to be a lot of hard decisions. Who gets all these spots, who pitches where, so much. I'm sure they love it. I'm sure it's a very fun problem for them to have, because, I mean, in shorter version, it's, hey, we have too many good players. What should we do with all of them? And that's a problem that 29 other teams don't have. And when you're the only team in baseball with a particular problem, that's a good thing.
You're darn tootin'. What I love through all of this is that I think we basically answered nothing and everything all at the same time.
But we talked about the Dodgers, and that's always fun,
That's hey, I'm locked on.
Locked on with your hat forward, baby.
Bad. That was bad.
Yeah, and we, we did our 30 minutes, which means that those of you who listen on your commute, you're welcome. And we know your commute is exactly 31 minutes and 11 seconds, and so that's why now we're overtime. But I think that'll do it. You got anything else for tonight, Vince or Clint? Whatever your name is?
Whoa! Listen, the hat's forward. I got a hat on.
You've been told worse.
This is fair. This is
by
fair.
me today.
No, man, also fair. No. Again, just I'll glaze and I'll gush. I always enjoy talking Dodger baseball with you. Looking forward to seeing you in human flesh this weekend at Fan Fest, and hopefully we could also connect on something else while we're out there. We'll have to bring a camera and ruin the genuine human connection by also bringing content into the mix. But this was fun as always.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll turn our hats forward and do something for this show, and turn our hats around
sideways
for your show, sideways for those of you, if any of you are at Fan Fest, hope to see all of you there. Hope to get to know more of you in person instead of just on the internet. Always fun. So that'll do it for us for today. Actually, wrap it up for us for this week. Probably no bonus episodes this weekend because it's unlikely the Dodgers are going to have any big roster moves. They're probably done. I guess the Brazier trade is coming up, but it'll probably happen Monday or Tuesday. So so we will be back probably Sunday evening with a live episode. So thank you all for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen. Thanks for being an everydayer. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching and listen right now to make it easier on yourself to become an everydayer. Also be sure to subscribe to Dodgers Territory with Clint and Alana, and All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas over on the YouTubes, and I assume wherever you get podcasts too. Seems like Clint would put his stuff everywhere,
Yeah.
You can also
phrasing. Family show. I apologize.
Grow up, young man. You can also check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, the 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube from the Locked On Podcast Network. You can go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers. Text directly with us. One-on-one conversations, get our thoughts before the podcast, and have access to our insider Discord server and talk Dodgers with other Dodger fans. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at Vince91. Clint is on Twitter at RealFRG. I'm on Twitter at Snydog. All of our DMs are open over there. You can also email us, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or send us a voicemail or a text message to 323-863-LOCK5625. We are here every weekday morning. We hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or sit on your couch, tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. We will talk to you on Sunday.
Bye.